Hello, my name is Ragnar McFarlane. I'm continuing my video series on how to set up for a client booth at a Highland Games or a Celtic Festival. The last video we dealt with was how to join an organization, and I got a lot of great hints and tips on it, but there was two that really stood out for me. One of which some organizations will not pay for a client booth if you partition for them, so you would have to pay for it yourself. If that's the case, and if you're okay with it, by all means, still join the organization. However, if not, go to the next one that perhaps will pay for it. The next one deals with whether or not you can actually join because they want to have an established bloodline at least 3 generations back. I'm assuming this is through the male bloodline, so you might want to also have that in consideration when you join an organization. Once you've joined society and you have expressed interest in becoming a client commissioner for hosting the festival games and have been accepted to do those, now you need to find the festival or Highland Games. This is very simple by typing in keywords into the computer, usually dealing with what state or city you live in, and using keywords such as Highland Games or Celtic Festival. Once you find these, click on the clans link, which will send you directly to the application format, which you can fill out either online or printing out and actually physically printing out the information that you need to do. Rescan it back into your computer, send it to your society treasurer, and also I like to also send a copy directly to the festival itself. That way both bases are covered. However, some of your festivals or games will not be online. You will actually find them at the sites themselves, in which case there'll usually be someone walking around handing out applications such as this. Since they took the time to come over and visit you and hand you the application, it is considered good manners to at least attempt the opportunity to be able to go to their festival as well, in which case, again, just sign out the application and send it off to them along with your treasurer as well. Now we get down to the fundamentals of what you need to set up for the booth. One of the first things you need is to display who exactly you are. Check with your organization to find out whether or not they have a banner set up for you and what type of rules and restrictions you need for that banner. Sometimes they'll be able to donate this banner, sometimes they won't, in which case you would have to buy them. If you cannot afford to buy it, check to see if they're okay with you making a temporary banner through Vistaprint or Staples until you can afford to buy one of these banners. Next, let's talk about your covering. This is the covering that's going to protect you from the elements such as rain, sun, wind, whatever. Best thing to do is get yourself an Easy Up, such as one of these. There are different types of brands and prices that you can go for. There's a slant-legged Easy Up where the legs are slanted off to the side. This is one of the cheapest models out there. These are really good, however, when winds do pick up, you need something to be able to keep it down onto the ground. And a lot of your sites will not allow you to stake into the ground, in which case you are left with the idea of weights. That's not very practical with the slant leg, so you'd want to get a straight leg, which is a little bit more expensive. There are 2 major different types of straight legs, one of which only has the barriers on the sides, in which case when a really good gust of wind does blow in, it has a tendency to collapse in on itself. The brand I go with has a centerpiece that holds it all together, which gives it more stability. This tends to be a little bit more expensive as well. If you really want to spend the big bucks on it, you can go with an industrial one, in which case it is made with better equipment and it tends to be less fragile. There is one other option to go with, which is considered the Tinker Toy model. The Tinker Toy is really nothing but bars and fittings where you connect it all together and make a shelter out of it that way. This has a lot of advantages, the fact that it tends to be cheaper to be able to put this together, and if a part does break, you're not buying a whole system like this with the Easy Ups, you're just paying for the parts that are broken. However, the downside to these is the fact that it does tend to take up more space when you're loading it into your vehicle. It does require at least 2 to 3 people to be able to put this up. And when you put up the tarp part, the roof part of it, you will have exposed areas where the elements will come in. Next come the creature comforts, tables and chairs. You want to get a good table, you can get these at Walmart, easy to fold up, easy to set up, lightweight. Chairs, same thing, although don't necessarily go for the cheapest model of chair. This is a simple camping chair, but you want to go for something that's going to be comfortable for you to sit in. You are going to be there for the long haul. And although you will spend a lot of time standing up and talking to people, there will be times for you to sit down as well, and you don't want to be uncomfortable when you sit. Buying all this equipment can tend to be really pricey, especially if you're rushing to do your first game. So some festivals will give you the option to rent them. This particular one here for the Sedona games that I'm getting ready to set up for will have the ability to rent a table and 2 chairs. Now, you get what you get when you rent these, and they just cost about $15, and sometimes you'll be able to talk your organization into helping you to pay for that, sometimes not. However, 15 bucks isn't generally that much. This one doesn't give you the opportunity to rent the pavilion, but some of them will let you rent the pavilion. The nice thing about it is you are not required to do the setup or anything on that, but it does tend to be borrowed equipment, so you get what you get when you pay for that. Now what to set out on your table. Usually your organization will have a PDF file which will give a basic rundown history of the clan and the organization that you represent. You can easily download in a PDF file where it will give you an option to build a brochure such as this. If it does not, you can easily build one of these yourself just using copy, cut, paste, heading down to your local Staples and printing them out. These are great to hand out so that the people who stop by your booth know exactly who you are and what you represent. Another good thing to have is a sign-in sheet. Sign-in sheet gives people the option to fill out your name, email, and any other information they want to give. That way they can get more information from you, or you can even do a shout out to them on Facebook or any other social media that you might be on. Next, you want to have an actual application to join the organization. You can direct them directly to the site so they can download this by themselves if they want to, but it's good to also have these on hand. That way they can take them home, fill them out, and mail them, or they can even fill them out at your booth, in which case you become responsible for the money that you send to the treasurer so they can join the organization. There is also 2 books that are a very good idea to have. One of which is Clans and Tartans of Scotland. These are books that if people show up to your booth asking about a particular clan, gives a brief information about them and their tartan. However, this only works if it's an established clan. Some people will show up with what's called a sept name. A sept name is someone whose family name is known by the job they do or the location that they lived at. In which case, this is a very good idea to have, which is called Tartan for Me. This will give the name, whatever spelling that they can come up with, or the closest equivalent to it, in which case you find the name, you go to the next slot which tells what clan they belong in. This concludes my video for the basic setup that you would need to do for a Celtic Festival or a Highland Games. As always, leave me any questions and I will try to address them in my next video, where I will also be talking about how you should look at one of these events. Again, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Goodbye.